Hello, everyone. A very good afternoon to you. I welcome you all on behalf of ABP Group and abpeducation.com on this webinar. And my name is Prabjeet Singh, and I work with ABP Education. And I will take a minute of your time to introduce what abpeducation.com is. We basically are a newly focused higher education website, and we are powered by Anindya Bazaar Patrika and the Telegraph. And our focus is largely on students, parents, their educators, and all that goes on in higher education, examinations, admissions, and scholarships, and including career choices, and tips and views. Uh, so, as a part of our endeavor to guide you to make informed choices on your career move, uh, we have introduced a webinar called Campus to Career. It's a series on new courses for the new generation. We launched this webinar series on August 12th with the Bengal Education Leaders Summit with Education Minister, Mr. Partho Chatterjee. So continuing with this series, we bring to you Career Call, how to know what to choose. We have an elite panel today, and without any further delay, I would like to introduce Bratati Bhattacharyya, and she is the Secretary General, CEO, Shikshayatan Foundation and Shri Shikshayatan School. She's a postgraduate in economics from Bombay University and a postgraduate in finance from IGNOU. A governor's gold medalist in B.Ed from Jadavpur University as well. Bratati has been recognized and awarded as the Indian Iconic Educationist from the Indo-Socio Development Association. And she's also bagged the Inspiring Best Teacher title from the University of Engineering and Management, Kolkata and Jaipur, and Bharatiya Vidya Shiromani from International Institute of Education and Management. So without any delay, I would hand over this session to our moderator, Bratati Bhattacharya. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. And I feel humbled. You have beautifully introduced me. I thank ABP for taking this initiative and helping out a lot of people, because campus to career is the need of the hour. Today, I would like to wish all of you in advance a very, very happy Independence Day. Now, if you look at those background, 73 years have passed by. When after independence, we were all, looking at only technology and medicine as one of the most important career. In fact, when I was also a student, the two areas that people would focus at is either you become an engineer or you become a doctor. The other careers were not really given so much of importance. And if I recall, when I passed my class 10 and went for, looking for a class 11 admission, people were harping on certain things, and that was marks. And till date, we are looking at marks to get into a college. I was not interested in either doing medicine or engineering. And my father told me, well, if you like to take up humanities, then you have to take up economics. So I took up economics without knowing what is my career and what I like to do. I did my master's in economics and I joined an investment bank. For 7 years, I did investment banking. And after that, I came into higher education and teaching, and now I'm with Education Institute, which I'm loving. So 7 years, it's not that I did not like what I was doing, but I did not know whether it suited me. So I think, what I'm trying to say is that I think these kind of problems most of us face when we are in our school and we do not know how we must choose our career. With the national education policy right here and passed by the cabinet ministry, doors have opened up. And there are many careers that we are talking of. But when we are talking about a career, we need to ask a few questions to ourselves. What is our passion? Because our passion keeps changing. What is our passion? What are we good at? Would we like to stick on to what we are good at and also have a passion? If both are matching, you are really, good at what you're doing. But sometimes, maybe your passion is something and you're good at something else. So it doesn't match. So there are panelists from different walks of life who are going to help us out and tell us as to how we may choose our career. And as I was telling you about the national education policy, it stresses much on vocational skills, on different types of skills, which it has been decided that will be introduced at a very young age, which is really a very good move for our country. Because when you are going to the level of class 10 or 12, you have made a choice, and this will help us. Otherwise we are doing general studies and then we really don't know how to move up. So without wasting any more time, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Suborno Bose. Dr. Suborno Bose is well known, but still I would just read out his brief profile. He's a chartered accountant with over 30 years of entrepreneurial experience and is the CEO of the International Hospitality Council, London, and founder and chief mentor of IndiSmart Group Worldwide, which consists of International Institute of Hotel Management, which is regarded as one of the key leaders in the field of international hospitality management education in Asia. Dr. Suborno Bose is inarguably the country's best hospitality educator, with the presence of his institute's major brands like IIHM and IM hotel schools at Kolkata, Delhi, Goa, Bangkok, Bangalore, Ahmedabad, Jaipur, Hyderabad, Pune, Uzbekistan, London. Economic Times Business Leader of the Year Award in Education in 2019. All of you have seen that with this COVID for the last 5 months and how all of us have moved on and have changed our ways of life, and different kind of opportunities have come up. Today we are going to listen to Dr. Bose as to how he can help us and tell us how we can move on and take up every challenge as an opportunity. Over to you, Dr. Bose. Dr. Bose, over to you. I cannot see Dr. Bose. Dr. Bose, you need to unmute yourself.
Yeah. Thank very much, Bratati, for that lovely introduction. Loved it. Good afternoon, everybody, all the viewers here and also in the YouTube and the Facebook. I'm sure that is going to be one very informative webinar. And I start by thanking ABP Education for organizing this very, very informative webinar. And I thank all the panelists and the moderator for being with us, for taking this forward. Yes, I think the career is now very important because there are two things I think very important now. One is that we are going through challenging times. And these challenging times have thrown up a lot more challenges than we can even think of right now. Secondly, we generally are now in an era, and I think I loved your example of when we were in the schools, the career choices were either you become an engineer or you become a doctor. I went and become a chartered accountant, which is almost similar to that. That was the third option actually. I was saying that given a choice, I would have become an Air Force pilot actually. But then at that time there was hardly anything to do. So now obviously the world is a different place, and we have got so much of career choices, so much of what we call modern new career, and still we have got the traditional careers like becoming a lawyer or engineer or a doctor or a CA for the matter. I, I think you mentioned about COVID-19 and its influence. I think is very important because the students actually right now are living in a strange dilemma, and their career choice will be very difficult. If you take an example that those who want to sit for the IIT joint entrance, the exam dates are getting postponed every time. Now it's September, but I also personally don't think it will be in September. So they don't know what to do really. That's one part of that uncertainty. And the second part of it is that there is so much of new innovative career also. So it's quite interesting because on one side you have got a little bit of uncertainty, little bit of challenging situation where you are not sure what will going to happen even tomorrow morning or after 2 months, after 6 months, how long the COVID will carry on, how long the college and universities will be shut, how long this online classes, I call it LOC. LOC is not line of control, is lockdown online classes. So how long this LOC will carry on? This all put us into a kind of very strange, uncertain kind of situation, especially if you are 18-year-old and just out of the board exam. I think that we need to really think very critically and very innovatively. And instead of actually going through the general thing like engineering or medicine or BA, BCom, there are many courses which are very interesting. For example, hospitality, which I am one of the person working in hospitality for last 30 years. And right now, the travel industry, tourism industry, like many industry, is a little bit of turbulence. But I'm sure that hospitality is one industry that will really become very big again, because people will travel, people will dine out, people will go for holidays. And in India, one of the biggest revenue of the hospitality industry are weddings, and the big fat Indian weddings and not so fat Indian weddings all happen in the tourist destination, all happen in the 5-star hotel. And so this is going to come back big way. So I think hospitality is one career which is also vocational, at the same time very strategic. And then we have got a lot of careers which are like a new age career, something like data science, which is a huge thing. As they say very famously, data is a new oil. I mean, if you are sitting on data, then you are sitting on like which used to be oil, because data is the dollar now. So the managing the data, monitoring the data, using the data, monetizing the data is such a big world. I think it is as big as world in itself, like engineering. So that's one very big area, data science. Cyber security. Today, the entire world, you mentioned about technology, the entire world of technology, the entire world of internet is based on cyberspace, right? And the security is so important, because whatever we are writing in Google, whatever we are searching in Google, whatever we are writing in our social media, you know what? Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. Mr. Mark Zuckerberg knows who are you, where are you, what you are doing. There is hardly any security in lot of places. So even in the a lot of places where they are not end-to-end encrypted, that is, I think Anindya will speak more of it later on. But I'm sure that there's a lot of cyber security professionals are required, because that's a lot of hotels, lot of company will recruit them, because you need your data privacy. Companies need their data privacy. And then you have got new age career, like content writer. Like when I say content writer, I mean the digital content writer, which is so different from the traditional journalist. Like I was talking with one of my journalist friend, and he said, well, I can still write 3 pages in a top-notch newspaper, but you give me 1 page to write as a blog or a vlog, I'll struggle, because the language, the insight, the entire cyber environment is so different that it needs education. So it's actually they're in great demand, content writers who can write for digital. And then of course you have got people like YouTubers. So I think so much of new age career are coming in. We are in for a very exciting future for the youngster. We should look for more exciting career than only those traditional career like engineering, medicine, or lawyer or CA. We should come out of that and look out of the box. In fact, I tell the student that there is no box. There's no question of out of the box, because there is no box at all anymore. Somebody have thrown the box out of the window. So you just think like that you are in the space and you think, and whatever you think, you can do it today with the help of technology. So that's all from me on the first stage, Bratati. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bose. You spoke about the uncertain world. You spoke about innovation and to decide very, very critically. And you also told us about vocational training, especially in your, line that you are the king in the hospitality sector. And in fact, what you said, that one needs to look into different kind of security aspect, because we are using a lot of technology these days, and how the security factor can be understood by people. And definitely what you mentioned is very important, because today when you look at the schools, they are schools and higher education, everybody is doing online. Now, when we talk about online teaching, we only think about, student and teacher aspect, but it does not stop there. There is a platform where people can think of how to create a platform for people, like how we using a Facebook or a YouTube. Similarly, we can also think of how to write a digital pedagogy. So that is the content part of it, and the methodology, the tool part of it also. So, these are all career things that you have spoke of, and children can think of these different kind of careers instead of the stereotype of career that we have always known. Thank you so much, Dr. Bose. We'll come back once again to you, because India, as we know, is a young India, and by 2030, I think we are going to rule throughout the world with a young population. I think this population is going to be our strength, and it is our responsibility that we increase the enrollment ratio by bringing in careers which are going to help them and also make it employment friendly. So we will now like to go to another expert panelist, Dr. Wilma Francis Alphonso, who's going to tell us about what are the things which are necessary for a student to be ready, and how with different kind of tools you can help children as to find out what is the best potential the child has. It will be a pleasure to read her about herself. Dr. Wilma Francis Alphonso, a behavioral scientist. Ever since she stepped out of school, psychology became an inevitable part of her. Dr. Wilma completed her master's in clinical psychology and pursued with her doctorate on research topic an exploratory study of stress and coping strategies of parents of mentally retarded children. From RTM University, counselor with 13 plus years of experience. She's been associated with CBSE schools, serving students, youth and parents, supporting mental health, effective coping strategies, imparting life skills with innovative teaching techniques, exceptional organizational and communication skills that she feels that is important in people's life. Well, Dr. Wilma, we would love to hear from you as to how you can throw some light as to how the students will look at their potential and what are the tools available. Over to you, Dr. Wilma.
Thank you, Mrs. Bhattacharya. It's my privilege and honor to be here on the panel, very specially to guide our youngsters today to make informed career choices. To begin with, I would like to congratulate all the participants who have joined in. This very well speaks that you are very serious about making informed career choices. This itself is the best step that you have begun with. So congratulating all our participants, be it parents or students. Moving on to, I have been always very privileged that my first choice has remained with me till now. So ever since I moved out of school, psychology interested me. Thankfully, if you know Multiple Intelligence by Howard Gardner, I'm a very intrapersonal kind of a person, and extrovert who likes to meet people, talk to people. And I chose psychology, and it is still with me, and I'm very happy being a psychologist, a behavioral scientist. So this does not really happen with everybody. There's a lot of trial and error that moves ahead. But all that I can remember throughout my journey is I had these important people in my life who guided me well. And here comes the role of those people who understand what are your strengths and what are the areas you are good at and what is it that is available or the scopes that are there present for us. This particular mediator is the person that we are playing the role of now, that is being the people who are helping with assessment and career guidance. So today, for all the youngsters, those who are seeking career, it's an absolutely state of confusion. It's an exploratory stage where you need to know what to take and what not to choose. Will it be a successful career or no? The worst part is, in today's world, we are all flooded with lots and lots of information. You just type career option and you have 3,000 plus options dropping down. So the worst thing is to drown with the multiple options available, because if you pick one option, you regret not taking the others. So here comes in the need of assessment. So being in the field of psychology, I would like to suggest that youngsters must undergo a psychometric assessment in order to understand themselves better. Now, what are the important things that one can look for is knowing oneself well. That is the first thing that you need to know. That's when we can go and look out what we need to shop for or which career are we looking out for. So the most three important things that one needs to consider is one's own aptitude. Aptitude is that innate ability which you're born with, that's dominant in you, and that's what you can work with better, right? And given certain amount of training, you excel in that particular aptitude. The next is your personality. What are you good at? What are your strengths? And this is very important to know how well you can cope in a certain situation. And the third important thing is your interest. Interest, your likes, your dislikes, which does tend to change with time. But at that particular stage, as a youngster, you need to understand yourself better. When you know yourself better, that's when you will be able to make an informed career choice. And that's why I always recommend youngsters to undergo a psychometric assessment, because not always will you be lucky like me to have somebody who knows you through and through very well. And I have always been strong enough in making decisions. That's not the situation today. We have a lot of choices available. Thankfully, I didn't have Google then so much. It was people whom we depended on. So that was an added blessing to it. So speaking once again to all our participants, making an informed career choice is one of the most important decisions of life, and one must take it seriously, because your good health, mental state of mind depends on the kind of job you are in. So that's from my side. And I think further on, I can keep on giving my input. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wilma. You did mention about, having a guide in your life. And you also talked about that one must look into one's aptitude, one's interest, one's personality to make a choice in a career. Thank you so much. Now we will move to Mr. Anindya Ghosh. And Mr. Anindya Ghosh is going to tell us about data sciences and artificial intelligence. Well, it'll be a pleasure again to read his career growth, data science, artificial intelligence, market research professional, which he has been with for 23 long years. He's a chemical engineer from IIT BHU in the year 1995, and he has done his MBA from IIM in 1997. He's a mentor of change for the Atal Tinkering Labs programs of Niti Aayog. He has worked closely with IIM and NIIT to create and execute memorandum of understandings for collaboration around multiple areas with IBM since April 2019. He's working to organize and deliver a first of its kind data science cognitive workshop in ISI, Kolkata. Organized and delivered a first of its kind data science cognitive workshop in IIM Ahmedabad, along with their faculty since 2018. He's also a visiting faculty on data science, artificial intelligence in B schools in Delhi, Bangalore, and IIM Ranchi since 2010 onwards. Well, Dr. Ghosh, we would like to hear from you as to how artificial intelligence as a career can help students to pick up. Plus, what are the different tools, which we can use to make a career choice, and how, as I mentioned earlier also, that as a software designer, how we can design platforms, and how such training sessions can also be as a career choice for students. So these are the new areas, opportunities, and with COVID, I think we have realized that all of us need to be trained. Without the training, you just cannot have a substitute class. So I think you can tell us about that. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Sure. Thank you so much. And, a warm welcome to all the students and parents who have joined today. And, what I will do is I will actually pick up the third point around, how do you select a career, right? I mean, what are the various things or the dimensions that one needs to take up? Because I was looking at the chat window and I was seeing that there was one question, which is, and I think it's a very pertinent question that we all ask, is after class 10th or after class 12, how do I decide which career I should be selecting? What are the choice of courses and all of that, right? And I think Dr. Bose has already given a great initial background. Dr. Wilma talked about what you should be doing, but the question is, even then after that, what remains is, that's all great, but how do I bring it all together? So think about, for a moment, back to what Dr. Wilma said. What are the three dimensions that we consider when we start making, let's say, course choices or career choices? She said one is the aptitude, right? Aptitude meaning, am I strong, for example, in quantitative ability? Am I strong in my verbal ability, right? In my vocabulary, in my choice of words, in interplay of words, how I create sentences? Am I strong in spatial ability, right? You would have seen a lot of questions which actually show you diagrams, visuals, and ask you to make a lot of inferences, right? So what am I really strong in? It's possible that I am strong in not one, but in a couple of areas. It's also possible that maybe I'm not equally strong, but it's not possible for my mind to fathom which one I am I have a slightly greater advantage in, right? That's the first thing. Now, let's talk about the second point she talked about, personality. Yes, I understand, if I'm an extrovert, I'm an introvert, I'm a decision maker, or I follow orders. I mean, what do I like to do in life? Which is great. But many a times, there are inner callings within our heart, which we are not aware of. Many a times, it's not only other people being aware of that, even we are not aware of what is it that which is inside, which will propel us. For example, will we be able to make let's say, a life and death decision if you were to select one such career field? You do not know because you have never even tested that out, right? So how do you figure out what is your personality? Is there a way to do that? Of course, psychometric tests are there. Dr. Wilma talked about it. But now, let's think of this. You have a certain psychometric or you have a certain personality trait, but you also have other personality traits which at times can be conflicting with that, I mean, in your mind can be a bit conflicting. Or you have certain aptitudes which somehow you cannot fit in, with your personality. And then you are starting to think, okay, which is the real me? Am I a quantitative guy? Am I a guy who just wants to make decisions and leave everything to the rest? Am I a nerd who wants to really, get down and, would always want to do the programming and the coding? Am I somebody who wants to get up on stage and kind of, talk to the world about, hope and optimism, for example? Am I somebody who wants to, probably go out there and dabble in the arts, right? What am I? And in many cases, for example, in my case, I very early on in my life, I figured out that, yeah, I have an interest for the arts, but I also have an interest for the science. And I'm completely confused. What do I do? Now, then the third point she talked about is interest. Interest is a very, very interesting field, again, right? Interest is interesting because when we talk about interest today may not translate into interest tomorrow, number one. Number two, interest is always based on a certain situation. When I did my engineering, right, I was highly interested, heavily interested that I want to, build, let's say, a chemical reactor, because I'm a chemical engineer, right, as you were told. That was a huge, interest for me. But at the same time, when I started thinking about it, just towards the end of engineering, I did not, probably at that point in time, somewhere down the line, it didn't, I didn't want to really go to a very remote, location. Let's say, work in a production facility. There's nothing wrong about that. Just that my personality didn't allow me that, right? I wanted to probably stay in a big city and, take my career down some other path. So there was a bit of a conflict, right? Very situational. What do I do in such, circumstances, which in class 10th, in class 12, you will start feeling those. And this will probably continue over life. So these are what we call as factors which kind of juxtapose against each other. So I will give you a very, very simple example. If I were to ask you, and I know a lot of adults, right? When you go to buy a car, what do you look for when you buy a car? I am damn sure most of you will put price down as your fifth or sixth criteria. I'm just taking an example. You will say, I like the styling. I like, I will go for the design. I'll go for the color. I'll go for the interiors. I'll go for the, the chassis length. You will see a lot of factors. Price will probably come at the fifth or sixth because you don't want to talk about it. Well, or you could talk about safety also. But when you go and finally select a car, you do not select a BMW. You do not select a Mercedes. Why not? Because if price were your sixth or seventh parameter, why did you not go and buy a BMW? Because when we look at factors or parameters in conjunction, in totality, right across, together, one factor doesn't stand out. They all intermix and come up with some insights which the human mind will find very hard to fathom, right? And that is where the artificial intelligence kicks in. Well, so for example, we used to do, when I was in research, we used to use a technique called, conjoint analysis, where we would mix up all the factors and we would actually give them product choices. We wouldn't say rank your parameters one by one, because that doesn't give you any insights. So I'm actually happy to announce that, we have IBM, right? We have worked with Dr. Suborno Bose's, enterprise. Dr. Wilma had been involved, as a counselor with significant inputs. We have brought in all of these parameters that I just spoke about, Dr. Wilma spoke about, your aptitude, your personality, your interests, right? We have built an AI system which collects all of this together. It mashes up all the data, gets it into an AI algorithm, right? And comes up with multiple choices of what should probably be your, let's say, recommended top choice, or the second choice, or the third choice, right? Which many a times, as a student, it's very difficult for us to fathom. And then we do not only give the choices, we also label out why we are saying that this is your topmost choice, or this is your second choice, or this could be a third choice. And again, remember that they are just recommendations. Of course, the final decision that you want to take will be yours. But this is like a guide for you. So I think Dr. Wilma talked about a guide, right? A guide to guide you, throughout. This is where you will see the industry is heading, you will see education heading. The overall idea is that we want to create an artificial intelligence mentor that will not be there only when you are in class 12 or in class 10. Over time, we are going to improvise, we're going to improve, we are going to augment, we're going to bring in a lot of machine learning, and these are some terms that you would have anyways heard, on social media, to improve this, these kind of assets, so that you can start using them right when you are probably even in the 6th or 7th standard. And as you move along, of course, your choices will change, you will evolve as a person, but this will start becoming a guide, over the years with you. Now, this is where, over the next few years, where we are, we'll be heading. And, there are visionaries, I would say, like, Dr. Bose, who have kind of, figured out that this is how education technology can be used, right? So we have partnered together, we have built something, and you will very soon see, a device like this, or a tool like, or an app like this rather, which will actually come into the market, right? To be used by you. So that is one thought that I wanted to leave you with. I think coming back to the first couple of points that we talked about, data science and AI, right? Harry talked about terminologies, career choices. Should you go for it? Or are you not sure? What should you be doing? So think about it again. And I was actually taking another session of students in class 12, and I was talking about data science and AI, the way it has really come up today. It's not only about programming and coding. So please bear that in mind. Of course, building of the right statistical models on unstructured data, or even on structured data, building of deep learning, or neural networks, all of that are great. And you would need people who are probably, with a mathematics background, who have done computer science, or maybe, who have actually dabbled in the sciences. And then, these are excellent fits for all of them. But that is not the only role that we have in AI and data science. There are many other roles, there are many other contributions that people make to build AI and data science models. So think about Dr. Wilma, right? We built an AI system for educational counseling. And Dr. Wilma, being an educational counselor herself, had significant inputs to actually build this particular model, right? Could we have built that without her? No. So which means it is not only the programmer who is programming that algorithm. There are inputs that are required from human counselors. There are inputs that are required from psychologists. There are inputs that are required from natural language experts, and these are language experts, right? So you can see how the domain of the twain is broadening. It is not only one discipline leading in the area of AI data science. And I think, as Dr. Bose mentioned, that it is not just engineers, not just doctors today. There is a plethora of options, and all of them would be needed to actually come together to build some of the AI and data science models. I'll give you another example. In IBM, we actually built an AI system that would be able to take a singer's records, right, and create music which will match the tonality, match the genre, and come up with what sounds good. It is the role of the music director and the producers, right? But now we are bringing AI to do that tuning in your mind. Okay, this sounds, of course, that needs a lot of training, right? A lot of training. Who are the people who are going to train those models? They will be the people who dabble in the arts, people who have got a great sense of music. They're going to actually come out and say, okay, this is good music. This goes, this does not go, right? And that's how you create your taxonomy. You create, that entire population of data associations, or what we call as data dictionaries, to build such systems. So think again. Another, the point that I would want to leave you with, it is not just technology experts. And of course, Dr. Bose talked about cybersecurity professionals. There are IoT professionals, the Internet of Things professionals. That is another area, where how can you capture data through devices or sensors? Then there are the cloud professionals. How do you manage data, which is a huge thing for us today? And of course, your AI. All of these come together. But this is not all. You need people from multiple disciplines to come together. And in fact, when we hire in IBM, of course, the significant part of it are the data science and AI professionals. But we also look at people who are doctors. When I build, I myself been involved with a lot of life sciences and healthcare assets. I actually bring medical doctors to help me build those, right? There are programmers who will build the models, but there are medical doctors who actually bring in the insights and say that, yes, these models will work, or these models will not work, or this is how you actually should go ahead and build those models. So net, what I want to leave you with is, these are very exciting times, extremely exciting times, right? And we were talking about this amongst us panelists, before we even started this off, how excited we are about this, and how we wish that such systems and such choices, or plethora of choices, existed during our times, right? So with that, I'll stop. I'm probably going to hand it over back to Bratati.
Thank you so much. I think you highlighted many things, and I myself, I did not know about this. And to put it across, that you need to have many different parameters on board for everything to work. So it is just not, one person working at it. And that is what Dr. Wilma had mentioned, and you have put it across in a very different way. And this probably has become very knowledgeable for many of the viewers, and they may have a lot of questions for you. So we'll get to see the questions and probably come back to you once again. Well, now we are going to have Rupkatha Sarkar. Mrs. Rupkatha Sarkar is the principal of La Martiniere for girls. She is part of a school which is 183 years old. And the school, as you all know, started in 1836. The school has been recognized as the best girls' school in India. Mrs. Sarkar has been in the field for the last 30 years. She is a postgraduate from Calcutta University. She graduated from Presidency College, Calcutta, completed her B.Ed from Xavier's, and she also has an educational management diploma in administration. She serves in the advisory capacity for several schools and college boards. She's a recipient of different awards as an inspiring teacher and also as an educator. She also received the Mother Teresa International Award for Education. Now, Rupkatha, the question that I would like to place in front of you, that you are dealing with students, who are going to make a choice of their career. So they are always uncertain. We heard this term uncertain, but how can, this uncertain, instead of making it, a volatile and uncertain world, how can you think, we can collaborate and be more understanding so that, they can choose their vision and be aware of things which is happening? And what are the kind of problems that you see in the school level that where we can help out the students so that they can make a choice of their career? Over to you, Rupkatha.
Thank you, Bratati. It's really an honor and a privilege to be a co-panelist with so many glittering stars in this particular sector. And thank you so much for having me for this career call choices and the talk that we are having. And I'm sure the young people who are listening, I want to tell you that you are very fortunate because you are at a stage or at a juncture in your life where you are going to make decisions. So that gives you a lot of power. And again, you are very fortunate because you have so many choices before you. Bratati, you're right. When we were in school, we hardly knew what we wanted to do. And, we just got, into a track. And later on, we realized we were in the right track and we are happy. We are very happy. It's very fulfilling. The last 30 years have been very fulfilling, and I'm finding new things to do. And as Wilma said, Dr. Wilma said that she's happy because, wherever she walked in, she is walking still in that. But all of us may not have the same experience. And that is why I say, those who've not had that experience, y'all also are very fortunate because you have dabbled in more things than us and you have more experience than us. So Dr. Bose is, he's the king of this hospitality industry. But today, Dr. Bose, with your permission, I will say, I have given your example in a previous talk on careers, and I've mentioned that Dr. Bose now dabbles in career guidance. Okay, he's now the EduGuy, okay, the EduGuy who helps people to choose careers. How did he manage to do this? Because he has been able to transfer his skills in different areas. So we are talking about people who are multifaceted, multi-talented. There are students, young boys and girls who are listening. You are good in many things. And many a times you ask, which one should I choose? Because I'm good at this and I'm good at that. And then there is that uncle and that auntie who tells you, no, you must do this. Or you have that best friend of yours who is pursuing a particular career and you also want to study that or you want to pursue that career. Where do you go? Would you want to listen to yourself? Would you want to listen to that family relation who is trying to help you? Would you want to listen to your friend? Or would you want to listen to your career guidance counselor? It is indeed a very difficult, tough situation. But take heart. You will do at the end what is right for you. Okay, I am telling you, ask yourself 2 questions as all the panelists have said. What is your interest? Who are you? Ask yourself, who are you? I am Rupkatha. What is Rupkatha really good at? Rupkatha tries to be a good person like Bratati, or like maybe Dr. Bose, or like Mr. Anindya, but what is Rupkatha really good at? That is a question that each of you will have to ask yourself. Know yourself. What are you good at? And that will happen when you dabble in different things. Here, students, the role of your coach or your mentor or your school or your college comes into play. So educators now, if you are listening, give a lot of opportunity for students to try different skills and develop it. So schools allow different co-curricular activities besides academics. Even in colleges and universities, students are allowed to do many different things other than just the coursework. Why? Because when you go to a particular place for an interview, you are asked, okay, these are your marks. Very good, you know this course. What else can you do? Are you a team person? Can you work with 10 other people? Can you work with 10 other people and allow them their independence or their freedom and yet make things happen? These are very important skills. So educators need to open up scope for different skills to be developed by the learners, which will help the learner to make a career choice. The second thing is, as Bratati said, we are in an uncertain world. We do not know what will work for us. Very true, we do not know what will work for us. And NEP, our national education policy, is saying that have multidisciplinary approach in learning and teaching. Have multidisciplinary approach in developing skills that are transferable. So I will give you an example of a girl who is a doctor and yet is now an established singer. Anjali. Many people will know her. I know of a girl who studied commerce but is now a wildlife photographer who received a Green Oscar for her film Kakapo. These young people have taught me that you can do more than one thing. In our society, if you look around, you have an established doctor who's a good debater, a good author. So which means in an uncertain world, you need to have multidisciplinary skills. You cannot say, I can only do this. You need to have many other skills. So it is okay. You try different things. And that brings me to my next part. What if I fail? What if I don't do too well? It's all right. It's all right. You try the next thing and you will do it better than the first one or the previous one. So try different areas and experiment with your skills. Very, very important. You may say, I have lost 5 years in the profession of law and now I want to change and become an author. That's fine. When you are going to write, you will put in those skills or those learnings that you have acquired from your legal profession. Today, it is very important for us also to ask, what I am doing, why is it I'm doing that? What I do, why do I do? What I do, why do I do? Am I happy doing it, number one? And what I do, does it make others happy? Am I only earning my bread and butter, or am I also helping others to taste the butter or the bread of life? These are very important questions that you need to ask yourself. Yes, I can be a legal professional, I can be a lawyer, but I also love to work for people. I want to be in developmental work. Can you use your legal skills for bringing justice for trafficked people? In other words, what am I saying? I'm saying your career must have a developmental approach. Your career is not for you alone, for your development, but it is also for the development of the society. If this bent is not there, then how are we humans? Are we only earning to just fill our lives? This is a very important question you must ask yourself. And very soon you will find that yes, things that satisfy your heart and your soul will help you to move in the direction which will make you successful. Today, even if I get 1 crore less in my business, but if I'm able to bring happiness to many, maybe it will be a more satisfying life than being unhappy and yet having crores in my bank balance. So I think that is enough that I have spoken. So educationists, create opportunities, and young learners, try new things. It's okay. It's a SWOT analysis. Know your strengths, your weakness, and there are opportunities for you to develop, as all the panelists have spoken. And it is a world with so many threats, but you will be victorious if you listen to your heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Rupkatha. You did stress upon skill development. I think we are talking about skills quite a bit, because vocational training that we are saying that all of us need to have the skill, and the skills which we were earlier, they have to be replaced with what is the requirement. And moreover, one needs to be, have a multidisciplinary approach, which also our NEP is speaking of, and definitely a developmental approach. So all of us need to invest in our own self. It's not that today what I have, I can go throughout my career just with 1 degree. No, we have to keep developing. In fact, all of us attend definite, today maybe we are speakers or moderators, but we all attend other webinars to see that we also invest in ourselves, we learn from others. So basically we are talking about a lifelong learning process. I think there are a lot of questions for all of you, and I would take the help of Shivanita. If you can please tell me the different questions, and some of them I can see where people have written that, I have done Bengali and how do I choose a career? We have already spoken that, you can definitely come into education. Moreover, you can go to any line. You can become a content writer for, the subject Bengali. You can be a travel guide in Bengali. So there are many things that you can do with the subject Bengali. I saw that question, so I answered that. I would take the help of Shivanita. If you can please help me with the question, then we can give it to the panelists to answer them. Over to Shivanita. You need to unmute yourself, Shivanita.
Sorry, I'm available now. Ma'am, the first question is for you.
Okay.
Like Bratati ma'am said, I want to follow my passion in singing, but I know there is no future there. How do I reconcile my passion and the reality?
Okay, I think we heard from Rupkatha that there is a doctor who has become, a singer. And in fact, from her school, let me tell you, most of you may be knowing the famous singer Nikita Gandhi is a dentist, and she is also a singer. How did she do that? Let me tell you about her. She was in Chennai, and she thought, okay, when I'm in Chennai, let me go to the famous A.R. Rahman's class. So in the evening, she would be attending A.R. Rahman's class. And, when she attended that, A.R. Rahman felt that, well, she has a different kind of a voice, and she started singing in Tamil songs. So she made her debut from Tamil movies. And today you see her in, Kolkata. So how many people knew when she was in Tamil Nadu? But she took that opportunity, and, that opportunity today has actually worked out, and, she is following her dream. So if I might say that, yes, dream your dreams with your eyes closed, but Love your dreams with your eyes open. So look at all the opportunities that you have and make the best of it. You can make your own YouTube channel. And there are a lot of people to vote you. And once people know you, I think they'll be giving those likes and you get a payment. I'm sure all of you may be knowing about that. So that is what I've answered that one particular question, Shivanita. The other questions.
Mrs. Bhattacharya?
Yes.
Could I just add in just something about this?
Absolutely, yeah, please.
To all our viewers, I will highly recommend always pursue with your talent-based careers as plan B. Because we also need to be wise and prudent in life, because uncertainties do not knock your no with intimation, right? So, for example, if you're a singer and you do not concentrate with certificate courses, tomorrow do you have any technical problem with vocal cords or something, you will be somebody who's really unhappy and you will have no alternative there. So I request all the youngsters, please to concentrate on education, and there's always a way for talent to shine. You need not give up your profession or your studies or education just to go with talent. So talent will always be with you. Make it as plan B, not just as plan A.
So you have to have all your plans ready. If one plan does not work, you go to the next plan. I think Rupkatha also mentioned about that you need to have a multidisciplinary approach so that it helps you. And let me tell you also, these talents that, even Dr. Wilma is saying, it's not for a very long duration, and so you need to fall back on certain things, because end of the day, we need to have that power also, the power of, being employed and also earning. So, we cannot throw away that. That's very practical. So we need to have a very practical approach in life.
Yeah, and just, can I make, one point just to bolster that? Many a times we feel that, if we have gone down a certain course or a career path, and we backtrack from that, we have wasted our time. Actually, that's not true. Nothing in life goes waste, right? So for example, I want to become a singer, right? Or let's say I have learned singing, but I really did not make a career as a singer. But think again, in today's world, learning singing does not necessarily mean that you only have to be a singer. There are many other avenues. For example, the one that really comes to my mind is, if we are, building a system whereby we are training an AI system, let's say, to, in terms of, what are the good notes versus what are the not so good notes, right? What's a good song? What's a good tone? These are the kind of careers where the learning part of the singing never goes waste. You can always go as a plan B or a plan C. You may not go to singing as a career, but you can always use that training or the learning into some other career. So important point to note is nothing goes waste in life. Back to you, sorry.
So there are many ways to look at, a particular career. You can be a music critique, you can be a singing teacher, you can be so many things, So that is why you need the guide, and you also need those parameters which can give you those decisions. Okay, to the next question. You have to unmute yourself.
This is, I am struggling to understand what I am good at. How do I figure that out?
Over to Wilma. Dr. Wilma, if you can answer this question.
The question is that what am I good at? Struggling to understand, right?
Yes, I think that was the question.
Right. Yes. Very important is to spend time introspecting, and also with introspection comes your very important adults in your life whom you trust. You can also get back to them and have a feedback about you. Now, one thing very important is that if you're not sure what you're good at, it is probably also you are not trying and experimenting enough to know what you're good at. You will only know it after you've tried something, right? For example, I wouldn't know whether I can bake well or not till I put my hands into baking. So if you're going to restrict yourself from exploration because of the fear of failure, you will hamper your growth process. We all have been talking about exploring because no learning goes to waste. That's what Anindya has told us, right? Which is absolutely true. So your strengths will be revealed to you very well if you start exploring with calculated risk. So I would suggest, do not feel shy. If I'm not mistaken, you're a very introvert and a shy person who thinks 10 times before doing something. You need to sometimes let go to know who you are. Just spread your wings and fly, because you have too many opportunities here and people around who will definitely hold you. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Dr. Wilma.
I'm sorry, can I just add on to that? And I think absolutely, you should do your own introspection. But many a times, if you feel that that introspection is not helping to, give you a SWOT analysis, right? The strengths, weakness, opportunities, that analysis. I think the point that I had mentioned, you will very soon see some of these, tools or guides which will, will come into the market. As I said, we are working very, with Dr. Bose. You can actually take the help of some of these guides. It could be either human counselor, could be an artificial intelligence counselor, or whatever it is, to augment your understanding of what your strengths are. However, always remember, a counselor or a guide will be as good as the kind of inputs that you actually provide that, that guide. So you have to be very honest and true to yourself, when you are, providing the inputs, either to yourself or to or to the counselor. That's the other point I want to make.
Thank you. Do we have time, Shivanita, to take one or two more questions?
There are two more that we can probably take.
Yes.
Is, how will a machine know how to read my personality and my fitment?
I think this is for Mr. Anindya Ghosh.
Yeah. So I think that's a very valid and a very, very good question, because this is something that we always encounter, this kind of a question, not only in this case, but in many other cases. I mean, how does a machine know better than me? So remember that whenever we talk artificial intelligence or machines, right, we have to keep one thing in mind very clearly. All of the algorithms and models underneath are great, but end of the day, all the inputs that are coming in from humans, us, right? So as I said, when we were working on this AI counselor, education counselor using AI, who was the person who provided inputs? It's Dr. Wilma. She's a human counselor, right? Now, of course, she's bringing in her huge amount of experience and expertise in this area over so many number of years, right? Of talking to so many number of students. So it is not being built out of thin air. So when you say, how will the machine know? It's not about the machine knowing. It's about what kind of intelligence we have actually fed into the machine. And that intelligence has actually been fed by a human. It could be a human counselor, could be a psychologist, could be people like us, right? So never ever think of machines as, isolated from the human fraternity. They never are. And such machines never work, right? That is never the future of AI or machine learning or data science. It is always integrated. Back to you.
Yeah, to add on to Anindya's thing, just one interesting feedback. A is the counselor. B is that we went for a lot of alpha testing with a sample of over 300 people all over the India, covering a huge demography where we tested, and then of course we went for beta testing as well. But this testing actually taught us a lot of things, which is in addition to Dr. Wilma's initial foundation of the human intelligence. So it's human intelligence plus a lot of feedback which came from a lot of this testing with a lot of students of class 12 and senior class 10, even we went for a PhD student as well. And all the feedback were actually fed into IBM system under a brilliant group of 10 scientists working on Indo. And they actually did a lot of work on that. So it's just a machine was fed with lot of input. It's quite interesting. One of the input I do remember a little bit on a lighter vein that I said that if in a place like maybe Bihar, maybe a son of a doctor will not like to become a doctor, but like to become a civil servant. Because everybody in Bihar want to be an IAS officer. So these are demography kind of realities which we have taken into account. And this input were actually fed into the machine. So it's quite interesting that all this human intelligence or a human feedback are actually given to machine and churned. Something like same thing that Google does, I believe. So yeah, that's what I wanted to add on to Anindya's explanation.
If time permits, could I speak?
Mhm.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, on this platform, I would actually like to thank Dr. Bose, though he's the king of hospitality industry. I would like to tell all our participants, I have been over a decade doing career guidance assessment, and it is tedious to do the scoring by hand, and it's quite draining. So there was a number of times a thought crossed my mind, what if it was on computer? It would just get done so fast and easily. Thankfully, Dr. Bose came up with this idea, and it's the test that we have, ECPT, is a perfect blend of psychology and AI, which makes work so much lighter and easy for our youngsters to access that. So thank you so much, doctor, for making my life so much more easy. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that is a very good input, and people are getting aware of these things. Okay, over to the next question. Shiva, you have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, sorry. So this is for Ms. Sarkar. It says, I am in my first year of college. You spoke about the soft skills development and multidisciplinary skills. How do we develop that so that we are ready for professional life later?
This is for Mrs. Sarkar.
Yes.
You can, Rupkatha.
Okay, yeah. Well, you could take up as I think Bratati mentioned, or even I think Anindya mentioned that, you need to have, and even Dr. Wilma, that yes, if you are good at something and you want to take up a certain career, also back it with a certificate. So you need to have a proper training or a course which has trained you in that particular field. So today, no skills are soft skills, by the way. I must tell you that. All are skills. There are no hard and soft skills. They are skills, okay? And if you talk about communication as a soft skill, I'm sorry, without communication, whether it's verbal or non-verbal, you are unable to even get across to anyone. So you have to have the professional training for any particular skill and then develop it. Also follow and discuss with people who are already in this field. They are always knowledgeable and they can always share their experience with you. And that experience will help you to, again, walk along the way, because everybody's journey is going to be different. My experience may not be your experience, but you can always learn from that experience, and you can always think, okay, these are things that happened along her journey. I may not want those, so I will not stop at those stops. I will take a different course. So always talk to people who have already walked that path. Professionals who are in that journey already, talk to them and learn from their experience.
Thank you so much, Rupkatha. It's so true that, skills are skills and nothing as soft or hard. And communication is the power because we have to get across to people. Thanks a lot. Yes, any more
We have
questions?
so many questions. It's a tough choice, but I think I'm going to ask this question because this has come up many times, even while people were filling up their registration. What if my choice and the choice of my parents do not match? What if they want us to fulfill their dreams?
I think Dr. Bose can answer that question.
Maybe Wilma is the right person, but well, I would love to say
You wanted
that
to become a pilot. You
yeah,
did chartered accountancy. Now you're the king of hospitality. So there are so many things. So you can say this.
no, I think what Mrs. Rupkatha Sarkar said, I think is fantastic because we really need multifaceted, multi-talented, and people with transferable skills now. I mean, we are in a world where the transferable skills are very vital. It is not really essentially that I'm a chartered accountant, so I need to do something with accounting. I think I can dabble with technology, which I have done with Origin as a romance, late age romance, you can say. But then me, King Shuk and Anindo had a well of time in IBM. We spent hours and hours, almost after midnight, talking technology and discussing EduGuy and discussing the app. And it is very important that everybody should listen to their heart as much as possible. I think, as you said, that if there is a conflict between the heart and the mind, I think heart prevails. But I will really like to Dr. Wilma to come and answer this more professionally.
Yeah, Dr. Wilma?
Well, Dr. Bose, even your words were absolutely words of wisdom. I would like to add to this. If parents are here, parents give the freedom to your children to live their life. We cannot force our unfulfilled desires through our kids. And it is their time to express themselves. We have these lovely Hindi movies that have come up, Three Idiots, and which shows how to live your passion and how to convince. Communication being a very important tool, you can get to a very good conversation with your parents and try to convince them. But having said this, I would like to tell you, prove yourselves. Don't let your parents say that, see, I gave you a choice and you have done nothing out of your life. So make sure that you are passionate and having a very strong reason to convince them, because no parent would like to see their child upset, but your plan should be convincing too. So I would recommend you need to take the balance of the two, have a very safe plan, and it won't be difficult to convince your parents. And definitely you have to go with your desire, not your parents' choices. So I'm so sorry for all the parents to disappoint you here, but give them an upper hand to choose what they want to do in life, because they will have to handle the life for themselves. We can't be there for them always.
Sure. And
Thank you.
can I just add
Yeah, definitely. Please.
on top of that? Please believe in one thing. If you are convinced, your parents will ultimately get convinced. If you are not, they will not. So the first thing that you're going to do is convince yourself that yes, this is the right path that I've selected for myself. And you have to be sure about it. Believe me, being sure yourself in life, and it's not only about a career choice, believe me. Many times in life, when you're marrying, when you're buying a house, when you're selecting friends, every stage of life, these milestones will come, these gateways will come, where unless you are convinced, right? I mean, things will not work, and other people, you will see that they will come around to your way of thinking when you make your thinking, the convinced way of thinking, a success in life, right? So do not really bother about what somebody else is saying. And I'm not talking only parents out here. Do not bother about what somebody else is saying. Be convinced yourself and go after it. and the world will come around. I can promise you that. Back to you.
Thank you. I think, from parent side, I can say that parents basically, look at their children that they want them to see settled. And that's why, they always feel that, okay, they should choose a line where there will be an employment and they start earning. But definitely what you said is very true. If you want to do something different, convince yourself. If you have convinced yourself, then I'm sure your parents are definitely going to be convinced and will always be with you. Because parents also understand the uncertainty in their children. But you also, as children, need to understand parents' uncertainty. And I think what Dr. Wilma has said, that yes, both of them have to come on the same platform and be shouldering one another's, and understand one another. That is the thing. Okay. I think we had a lovely session. Any more questions, Shivanita?
There are several. Do you want to take one last one? I think
Because I think, time is over.
Time is, yeah, we're up.
It's already 4:30, and I'm sure many of them may have other appointments.
Yeah.
So I thank you so much. Thanks to ABP. Thanks to all the expert panelists. I think it has been a wonderful session. We can see on the chat and also in the Q&A, people have been thanking each one of you. Thanks a lot. And I hope, we can have such sessions more so that, students get information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you to the moderator and to all my co-panelists.
Thank you.
And to ABP. Thank you.
Thank you very
Shivanita, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All the best.
All the best. Thank you.